The Chicago Bulls get a win, and the pro-tanking fans everywhere are having a complete collapse and conniption. Well, I won't say every single one of them, but a number of them are. We're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls. We're going to talk about how they can also get some help now that Cooper Flagg's returning to the Dallas Mavericks, and why they are walking a very tight line over the last month of the season, but it's not as tight as some people are making it out to be. The Chicago Bulls are still going to have a great draft pick. We're going to get into all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And the Chicago Bulls got a win, and it's a win that, for some reason, a lot of people are freaking out about. Listen, the Bulls got their second win in 35-ish days. Calm the fuck down. It's not that serious. Like, I understand the fact that for a lot of fans, and I will say this, it's the more casual ones, that they think that once you're tanking, it means you're going to lose every single game. You're not going to lose every single game. Like, it's just not probable. You're going to win some games. Now, the Phoenix Suns are a team that is a legitimate playoff contending team. They're going to be in more than likely in the play-in in the West, but they have a really good shot to come out the play-in. They've been playing a solid brand of basketball for the entirety of the year. But I can't tell you how many of the over-the-top reactions I've seen from Bulls fans in regards to the singular win. Like, yeah, they got 2 wins in their last handful of games, but come on now. If you really thought that this came down to the Bulls just because, they have now, via their actions, show that they have prioritized the draft position over anything else, listen, the players are still going to play to win. So, yes, the Bulls have 2 wins in their last 3 games. Whoop-de-doo. Like, let's not act like we didn't just go on an 11-game losing streak, a historic losing streak by the Chicago Bulls. And I get it. Like, if the Bulls are going to win, right, and win any games from now to the end, I would like to see it be because of the production of Buzelis, because of the production of Josh Giddey. Players that we know for a fact are going to be here on this team going into next season. I would love for that to be the case. Make no mistake about it. I don't want to take that away from this team at all. I would love for that to be what we're talking about. But Modest and Josh Giddey were sitting out. They were sitting out. And you're going to run also into a place for the rest of the way here that you're going to run into playoff teams that either have things locked in or they rest guys. Now, that wasn't necessarily the case for the Phoenix Suns yesterday. I'm just more so saying overarchingly, there are going to be some wins that come in here. The Bulls are never going to lose every single game remaining here until the end of the season. It seems like some people really did think that was going to be the case. It was never going to be the case. And so, like I said, I said it when the Bulls got their first win to start off this month. If the Bulls start winning and we're looking at going on like a 3-game winning streak or something like that, I can completely understand if people start freaking out at that point in time. It's 2 wins in 34 days. That's it. 2 wins in 34 days. That is usually going to be a great tanking job by it. And, I get it that some people had this thought process that the Bulls are going to catch up or completely bottom out. That was never going to be the case. That's never going to be the case. That's why I had the episode that I had yesterday and talked realistically about what it's going to look like for the Chicago Bulls the rest of the way, especially now that the Chicago Bulls have one of the easiest schedules remaining in the league. Like, so we don't have a tough schedule anymore. We have the 9th easiest schedule remaining in the league the rest of the way. Whereas the teams that are below us have one of the tougher schedules. They're 4 and 5 in the Dallas Mavericks and Memphis Grizzlies. So because of that, yeah, there are going to be some times where the Bulls get some wins. Now, do I want to see them get wins like over the Sacramento Kings? No, I don't want to see them get wins over the Sacramento Kings because, again, that's going to help you. But at the end of the day, like the players are going to compete. And I think people do need to realize that organizations may tank, front offices may tank, coaches sometimes if they're really locked in with the front office, but usually coaches and players aren't going to be the ones that are actively out there trying to lose games day in and day out. That is just not what they are going to do more times than not. And so this whole freaking out that people are doing in regards to the Chicago Bulls and stuff like that, like just calm down a little bit. It's going to be, I promise you guys, it's going to be okay. One way or another, the Bulls are still going to have more than likely a top 10 pick unless they get leapfrogged by teams below them. But that their finish is almost locked in. And it got so ridiculous that on yesterday's post-game show, people were talking about things like, oh my God, well, the Bulls are going to sneak in and they're gonna quietly sneak into the 10th spot. And no, they're not. No, they're not. Look at what's going on in the 10th spot right now. The Chicago Bulls, the Atlanta Hawks right now are 6 games ahead of the Chicago Bulls with the 10th spot with 19 games left on the schedule. The Atlanta Hawks, a team that actually is trying to win basketball games. Even the Charlotte Hornets, a tough team. Both these teams have won 6 and 5 games in a row. As a matter of fact, every team in the play-in race from 7 to 10 in the Eastern Conference is on at least a 2-game winning streak. And that's the Orlando Magic. The Miami Heat on a 3-game win streak. The Charlotte Hornets on a 6-game winning streak. The Atlanta Hawks on a 5-game win streak. The Milwaukee Bucks are getting Giannis back. We'll see what they're going to do, right? But it's highly unlikely at this point that the Chicago Bulls are going to sneak into the 10th seed. So all this fear-mongering in regards to the Bulls possibly sneaking in, like, let's not even do that. Now, if we get to a week or two from now and the Chicago Bulls are like 1.5 games back of the 10th seed, then some shit has happened. Right? But to get off these one-off wins, when we clearly see that this is a team that is taking every advantage of sitting players where they can, you aren't going to get even a player like Collin Sexton, even a player like Rob Dillingham, who's not even that good. You're not going to get these players that are coming in here like, oh, let's go out here and lose today, like, so it can affect me. Like, that's not what's going to happen here. You think players are really going to come in here and try to help an organization possibly get a top 4 pick for somebody that can push them out? That's not going to happen here. So it's so much unreasonable stuff that's being said and so much unrealistic stuff that's being said that it does get a bit frustrating. Like I said, if the Bulls go on a 3-game win streak, I'm right there with you. Okay, then some things may change. But 2 wins in 34 days is not something, and being 6 games back of a play-in spot to all of a sudden start going into PTSD mode. You know how many people have said things like, oh my God, we're going to do it again. We're going to go on a crazy March run. What? Come on, man. Come on. Like, and I really have to always ask this, is that people have unrealistic expectations. And the thing that I always try to do here, and sometimes that gets me called out, people say that I'm being negative when the team's playing good, and I'm like, well, if X, Y, and Z things continue, we're not going to keep winning. People then say that I'm being crazy when I'm like, oh, hey, you're not going to lose every single game, or hey, I'm not going to root for my team to lose, but I understand that that's probably the goal here. Like, you have to be somewhere in reality. I always try to shoot it even, right? And I always try to shoot it straight in the sense that, like take expectations one way or another away, right? Let's deal with the reality of it. And one thing that like I said on yesterday's episode, I talk about probability over possibility, right? And sometimes, does that maybe bite me in my ass? Maybe, right? Like, it can, but I always go off what's more likely probable than just the possibility stuff, because some people get their heads too far up in the weeds thinking about possibilities, and some people get themselves too far down in the depths of hell worried about the negative possibilities. I talk about the probability. I look at what things are. I try to look at the numbers. I try to look at things. Now, are the Bulls walking a tightrope? Depending on what you look at it, right? The Milwaukee Bucks, are they going to actually take the season out? There's some talk and thought about them being a team that, isn't going to prioritize draft position because of what it means for Giannis. I've said it both on NBA Central, and I'll say it here as well. I think that it's best for the Milwaukee Bucks' future to prioritize draft picks. They've lost 4 games in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10. We've won a game. We're 2-8 in our last 10. So, is there a chance that the Milwaukee Bucks may pass up the Chicago Bulls for worse records? Maybe. I think a slight one, right? I'm not going to act like that possibility is not there. But with Giannis being there, I just don't necessarily think that's what they're going to do. I could very well be wrong on that. I want to be clear. I'm not saying it's one of those things like, don't ever worry about that. But like, even if it does happen, it would mean that they have done an amazing tank job. And I just don't see them out-taking the Chicago Bulls. But we'll see what happens with them. The Milwaukee Bucks have an even easier schedule than the Chicago Bulls, and they actually have a superstar player in the Milwaukee Bucks. Keep in mind, even though there's a game that separates the Bulls and the Bucks right now, the Bucks have actually played 2 less games than the Chicago Bulls. So that's going to kind of even out in the wash as well. So the Bulls with 19 games left, the Milwaukee Bucks with 21 games left. I think that's going to be fair. It may be a race there, but I think it's going to even out overall. I think one thing in this race that we also need to talk about also is that a team that's below the Chicago Bulls technically now, but ahead of them in the lottery standings. I always, get confused on how to talk about that. Is the Dallas Mavericks. and the Dallas Mavericks are getting Cooper Flagg back, right? So that's a thing to look out for in here as well. The Bulls fans and Bulls as a whole should keep an eye out on what the Dallas Mavericks are doing, right? Because there's just no doubt Cooper Flagg returning for the Dallas Mavericks makes them a better team. And so because of that, and I'm not saying that the Mavericks are necessarily prioritizing winning, but I don't think they're trying to go out there and necessarily bottom out either, right? So when you look at the 6 games before Cooper Flagg went down, he was averaging 32 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 52% from the field and 45% from three, which is crazy that those are crazy numbers that he was doing. And he was doing that against playoff caliber teams, the Rockets, the Celtics, the Spurs, the Suns, the Hornets, right? That's the stretch that he was doing that with. Now, in that said, the Mavericks did lose each of those 6 games, in fact. So look at that one. They're 2-14 dating back to January 24th. So they are on a historic losing streak, much like the Chicago Bulls. But with things right now, the Bulls are 3.5 games back of the Dallas Mavericks in the lottery standings. We know that the Memphis Grizzlies sits between us and them. We've talked yesterday about how the Bulls could catch up to the Memphis Grizzlies. They could catch up to the Dallas Mavericks. That one's going to be a little bit tougher, but Cooper Flagg coming back now is something to keep an eye on, and we'll see what happens. It does seem like this Mavericks team is going to try to battle. Now, they may do some creative lineup things, much like we've seen Billy Donovan do, that lead them down the stretch to lose those games, and we'll see what's going to happen here in regards to that. But the Dallas Mavericks and the Chicago Bulls actually play each other the very last game of the regular season. So there's a chance that game may matter. Like, we may see a takeoff. That game could matter a lot in the standings, depending on how the next month and a week basically go for the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls season ends April 11th, I think, April 11th or 12th. So we're just a little over a month away from the official ending of the Chicago Bulls season. 19 games, a month away from us finally getting to the end of this shit, right? But overall, I'll say this, is that the Bulls are going to need luck one way or another. If for the people that were holding out some type of shred and hope that the Bulls were going to completely bottom out and be one of the worst teams in the league, that was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. But what they do need to do, and the line that they need to cross over this last month, this last 19 games, is to really figure out how much they want to prioritize that, right? And by that, I mean this. I am somebody that I always think that the toll of tanking over a long period of time, which is not what the Bulls are doing. I want to be clear. I'm not trying to say that from the trade deadline to now is an extremely long period of time. I'm saying that the toll of tanking for teams that do it for years, I think has been evident. I think you've seen the toll that tanking has had on teams like the Utah Jazz. Now next year they may change that gear towards, winning, and it's luck, and thank God a guy like Ace Bailey was only here for 1 year of them tanking, right? But you've seen the toll on that. You've seen what that's done for players, what that's done. Like Lauri Markkanen, for all his worth, and people try to act like Lauri's some great catch by the Utah Jazz. Like, yeah, so far he's shown himself to be 7-foot Zach LaVine, a player that can put up really good numbers, but his team hasn't won. Now that has probably been by the franchise, but we'll see what ends up happening with that one, right? But there's a toll to tanking, and I had an episode titled that there is a toll to tanking, and that toll sometimes comes with the mindset and the effect that losing at such a high rate does on players that actually want to compete. And that's always the thing that you have to that you risk in that, is players that actually want to fight, compete, and do those type of things. And so, we'll see what's going to shake out and how it's going to happen for the Chicago Bulls in that time period and in that era. But I'll just say this: I'm not worried about it at this point. I think that it's much ado about nothing. I think there are a lot of people right now that are worried about something that could be, that really in probability numbers is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And the same thing that I said about the overly positive people. The probability is you're probably not going to get lottery luck and fall into the top 5 either. And you're going to pick somewhere between 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? And if you get some bad luck, which may be more likely than good luck, maybe you're drafting more around 11 or 12, and not because you won too many games, but because teams in the lottery passed you up via the draw. So you just got to see how things are going to happen, how things are going to shake out, and how that's going to work out. We've been a team that's been effective before about actually winning a coin toss, and the team that lost the coin toss won the lottery. Like, we've seen that type of thing. Those type of things are out of your control. And I can see it now that people will look back, and there will be some people that will look at this one win or these 2 wins that we've had in the last 3 games and blame those 2 wins, regardless of anything else that happens around it, to why the Bulls didn't get lottery luck or whatever else it is. Let's just calm down. Let's pump our brakes. I get it that this time period, it's a lot of high emotion and high frustration from a lot of Bulls fans. And everybody is valid to having that frustration for this team based off where things are. I don't want to act like it's not valid. It's very valid in that, because this team has been so frustrating for so long, right? But at the end of the day, it comes down to this, in my mind, is that when you look at this team, does this feel like a team that's built to compete? Does this feel like a team that's built to be competitive and to try to get into the play-in? No, it does not. Now, those players are going to fight. These players do have pride, and I tell you what, I do want players that have a pridefulness about caring about winning. Like the fact that Modest had his quote the other day about, I do think that he's not going to say that we're tanking, but we're not tanking. We're trying to win every game. That was a quote that I respected so much because it tells you a lot about the mentality and the makeup of a player. And that's who Modest is as a player. That's who he is as a competitor. He's been a competitor his whole entire life. We saw it, right? We see it when he plays off against one of his friends with the Detroit Pistons. He wants to compete. He wants to be a player that even when he fails, best believe it came via him wanting to be out there fighting, competing, and playing hard and trying to win every single game. You want players that have that mentality. No matter if your franchise is focusing on draft picks, you want people that losing matters to them, that it hurts them, that it bothers them. And I said it and speculated before that maybe, just maybe, Modest, if he has that mentality that we all hope that he has, he will use this season and say, I never want to be in a position like this again. I never want to be in a position of losing 11 straight games. I never want to be in a position where the last 2.5 months of the season, I already know we're going to lose a lot, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that I help put us in a situation where we can never fail again. And so you have to look at that. You have to compete. You have to fight on that. And so, we'll see what happens with that with the Bulls. And I'll say this overall. I get your frustration. I hear you. I receive it. And I'm not saying that you guys are crazy for being a little concerned. But for the sky is falling Bulls fans to start coming back now that we are losing at a historic rate. We are losing at a historical rate. And you are letting a couple of wins completely dictate and change your mood and say that some stupid shit. Calm down. It's going to be okay. And, this team was never going to lose every single game the remaining of the way. If that was the expectation and the hope that you had, realistically, if that's really what you were hoping and think was going to happen with this team, you gaslit yourself into believing that. You self-gaslit yourself into believing something that was never going to happen and never going to be the case and never should be the case either, I should have had. So with that said, though, I want to get into one of these voicemails. I know tomorrow's the mailbag. We got a voicemail from Vaughn. I do want to play this here.
What's good, Haize? This is Vaughn from Indianapolis. Got another question for you today. The other day you broke some things down very realistically. You were basically like, we got to draft a star. We got to, do something pretty big in free agency. And even then, we might be a play-in team in 26, 27. But again, it's going to look different. It would feel better. I guess is kind of what you were getting at, I believe. So my question is, how far, man, are we away from legitimacy again, in your opinion? I know you were like, continuing to play for this play-in mess. I mean, dude, I grew up, I'm 51 going on 52. I saw the 90s Bulls in all their glory. So, yeah, this has been very painful. I mean, hell, that's 3 decades ago. And then outside of Derrick Rose for a few years, this has been a shit show. I mean, just a horrible team, horrible ownership. They don't give a F. And I'm sick of it. So how long do you think it takes to return to legitimacy? And again, I'm sure a lot of that's contingent on what AK does and who the hell knows what that's going to be. But my second thing is, I know here you go, Vaughn, broken record, but with our 2 best players, they are playing. Now, again, Giddey's not 100%. He's working himself in. Modest has been healthy most of the year. If they're truly building blocks, wouldn't we luck into wouldn't we win a couple damn games just on the strength of that? And that's what concerns me. Like, if you really have 2 really, really good players, I mean, tanking is still going to be hard, if you know what I'm saying, in terms of taking the way we are. You can lose most of your games, but, I mean, hell, we're 1 in the last 12, you know what I'm saying? Now, granted, Giddey's been hurt a lot, but that's scary to me when your 2 guys are playing and you still can't win a damn game. And not only can you not win a damn game, you get beat badly, and you can't even beat teams without their best players. Now, I know, looking at Detroit, things can turn around quickly, so I'm a little encouraged by that, but just again, man, how long before we return to any type of, hell, a Christmas Day team again? Peace.
All right, Vaughn, I'm going to be very clear here. This is the last voicemail of yours, and I'm going to play if you're on the same shit. Just going to be 100% honest with you. Let's just go over it. Was Cade Cunningham on the team that won 14 games? Is he a good player? Yes. Was Dame Lillard on a team that struggled to win games for a long period of time? Yeah, he was. Are those really good players? Yes, they were. The whole thought process that you keep trying to find ways and backdoor ways to try to knock Josh Giddey and Modest Buzelis really just shows that you aren't focused on actually having an honest conversation and review. You are targeting that. And the reason why, per your last voicemails, is because they're white. Get over it. Like, really, like, all jokes aside, get over it. Like they are going to be on this team. They are pieces of this team. They are big parts of this team, and they are going to continue to be that. Now, regardless of what we add to this team later or not and how they fit in and grow and develop with those guys, that's great. That's building the team. That's what you should do. But the fact of the matter is that you find a way on every single voicemail to find a way to question Josh Giddey, who has put up numbers that we have not seen in a Bulls uniform in years, and Modest Buzelis, a young player that actually gives a fuck about this city, this team, and trying to win. It really just colors you as a person that's just, it's blind hate is what it is. And it's more crazy that it seems like it's built around their skin color, and you just don't want to say that. That's sad. I would say the same thing if somebody was doing that. For example, Caleb Williams and a black quarterback, right? Like, it's silly. And it gets to the place of just being so targeted that it just makes you look silly. And I say that as somebody who we have had conversations outside of this. I know you actually know basketball. But the whole thought process, when people say things like, I saw that does not make your point any more valid or not, right? This team is in a place where clearly a lot of these players are not going to be on the roster going forward. And they're going to try to reshape that this offseason. Now, can they do that with adding some two-way players is what you have pointed out before? Yeah, hopefully they do, because two-way players help with that. But again, this targeting of the players that are on your team that actually give a fuck about winning. Josh Giddey and Modest are two of the players you can say probably give the most fuck about winning than anybody on this team. Chill out, man, is all I can say. Let's get some other conversations going, because clearly you're going to have your feelings on them. That's not going to change. I'm never going to change that, and I don't want to change it. You're right to have your opinion and your thoughts and feelings. But again, to keep calling in with the same rhetoric and stuff and try to always backdoor that in, I ain't got time. Like, and I mean this respectfully. I don't have time to keep having the same conversations. I want to hear from everybody. I love to hear everybody's thoughts, but give me more. You have to have more thoughts than just that, right? Like, I would hope so. Let's try to do that. But that's my time for today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central. You guys already know the importance that you have to me. The Bulls are in a tricky position the rest of the way, right? They're definitely not good enough to compete. And, you know, they're going to win some games that are going to shock some Bulls fans and people are going to think. But we're going to hopefully get to see Modest Buzelis and Josh Giddey develop a little bit more as things goes on. I want your thoughts down below. Tomorrow's the mailbag, so get those voicemails in. You guys can follow. Well, first, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can follow us at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. Like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.